Welcome to Katie Calls BS, the podcast where we cut through the noise in course creation, digital products, and business strategy. I'm Katie Miller, bringing you blunt advice, real action steps, and the occasional F-bomb because building a business is hard and the BS isn't helping. Let's get into it. Welcome back to another episode of Katie Calls BS. One of the most common questions I get is, what should I do? I have the audience, I have the course, I have great content ready to go, which most of us do, honestly, because we have been doing this for a while. You have content from working with clients. So what do you do with it? Should you turn it into a cohort, a community? You keep seeing self-paced is not it right now. People need live. So do you rebuild whatever you have right now? This is a format issue, which is not the right question. Format questions feel productive because the answers are a little more straightforward and have a solid end goal. But format was never the thing standing between you and a program that works. We can make a program work, but there's a bigger issue at play. We have to look at your audience, obviously. Everyone's going to say it's always about your audience because that's who's buying your stuff. What is working and why is live delivery genuinely hitting different right now? At the end of the day, I can't really tell you this is what you have to build. It is going to depend on a lot of factors, which is why I love what I do, but it probably drives most of you crazy because you want an answer and I can't give you one. The truth is, cohort courses genuinely are outperforming self-paced ones across the board right now. We're going to go into that a little more in a second, but just like pretty much everything, there are trends in online learning. Lately, it is self-paced is bad and cohorts are great, but they never really went away. Here's the BS. It's just the strategy some people are running with right now. It's missing the actual reason the numbers look the way that they do. Content was never the problem. It's kind of like social media. Nobody is switching to cohorts because self-paced content was worse. And the information inside a well-built cohort can be this exact same thing. Word for word in some cases. Some people will take their self-paced course and change it to a cohort. We're going to talk about that too. It's the same content in a different package. What changed is not the content, it's the people and what people needed around the content and how they use it. When we get so focused on the delivery mechanism, like course or community, live or recorded, cohort or self-paced, we lose the plot. It will and always will be, what does this person need in order to get the result they came here for? Sometimes that's going to be structure. Sometimes it's accountability. Sometimes it's just another human being in the room. It is almost never going to be, I need this information and I need it more. I need it better. I needed this. I needed that. The information is there. You don't need to add more on top of more, on top of more, on top of more. The information was probably really good, hopefully really good, especially if it was selling. The delivery is honestly the least of your problems because crappy content is going to be crappy content no matter what you do. Completion rates for self-paced, on-demand courses sit somewhere around usually 12 to 15% industry-wide. That's pretty low. Cohort-based courses, the ones with a live component, a group, and a defined start and end date, they run in your phases. You have cohort 1, cohort 2, report completion rates somewhere around 85 to 96%. That's a big difference. That is most people finishing versus almost nobody finishing. The same goes with pricing. Cohort programs are bringing in 3 to 5 times the price of a comparable self-paced course, which makes sense because a lot more is going into a cohort than a self-paced course. You have the hands-on piece of a cohort program versus a self-paced course. It's the same knowledge. In some cases, you even have the exact same slides, but it's what's coming with it that's commanding a higher price. If you're sitting on a self-paced course, maybe you have all the information, you have a program out there, you have some information that's been packaged a little bit differently with really low, soft completion numbers, and you're wondering if it's a content problem. I can tell you it's probably not a content problem, especially if you have the sales. You've had a consistent sale, even if it's not a high sale number, but it's consistent. The data says almost across the board that people are not finishing these self-paced courses at meaningful rates right now. And there's reasons for that. It doesn't matter if if you have the big names building them or how good they are, but why are these cohorts the hot ticket item right now? Why is it all about the group programs and the communities right now? There's reasons for that. If you think about why this is happening now versus when we saw the rise of the self-paced course like 5 years ago, there's reasons. It's not a course industry thing. This is a people thing. It's showing up in the course industry too. We're seeing it in almost every industry. We're seeing this rise of community. It's not because community ever went away, but we're seeing it more and more now. It's because we have a little bit of a loneliness epidemic. You can look it up. I swear, I've looked at this. I read something the other day that said nearly 3 in 5 Americans say no one truly knows them. That's wild to think about. 3 in 5? We're seeing the same thing in social media. What used to be this copy-paste trend is now back to please, for the love of everything, be yourself online. We need to know who you are. Some of us never got away from that, but there was this trend for the longest time of just do the trend and not show who you are. People want to know who the person behind the brand is. It's a deliberate turn away from this frictionless, screen-mediated version of life we've been sold to for a really long time. People are actively now choosing things that require them to show up. In-person classes. We have real-time events. Anything that is putting you in a room with another human being. Even if it's a digital room, but we're now wanting to be actually in person. Maybe it's COVID. Maybe it was the rise of working from home. Whatever it was, we want more of that human interaction. Self-paced content is the most frictionless format there is. You buy it, you consume it whenever you want to. You talk to no one and you're accountable to no one. For years, that was the best sales pitch. And we were sold that that was the best way to package your content. Learn on your own time, no pressure, total flexibility. It's great. You can sell your content that way. You can sell your courses that way. It's not working now. It's working against you. The flexibility that used to be the best selling point for a lot of buyers and for a lot of creators is what people are trying to get away from. They don't want one more thing to consume alone. They want a reason to show up and collaborate with other people. They want to show up with other people and someone to notice when they don't. That's not a content gap. It's a connection gap. That's the reason cohorts are outperforming the self-paced courses right now. Not because the teaching and the content is better, but because the format is finally answering the need that has nothing to do with the topic that you're teaching. It has everything to do with the connection, but none of that is going to matter if you can't answer what is this person supposed to walk away able to do, know, or have changed about their business or their life. That question should decide everything else. It should decide the content, obviously, but it should also decide the delivery. When you get fixated on the delivery, cohort versus self-paced, course versus community, whatever it may be, before you've nailed the outcome, the goal of whatever it may be, you end up building this container first and hoping that the content will find its place inside of it. But that's the mistake we talked about with memberships in episode 137, I think it was. People will pick the format, they'll set it up, and only then do they start actually asking what it's for, which is backwards. That's not how you should do it. It's not about what format should we do, what format is winning right now, and that's what I'm going to build. The question is always, what is the person going to get out of it? What do they need in order to get the result I promised them? It's always about what is the person going to get? What is the result I'm giving them? Sometimes the honest answer is They might need accountability. They might need a group, a reason to show up on a random Thursday. That points you to a group type of setting, which would be a cohort. Sometimes you need that. Sometimes people need to move at their own pace because of a schedule. And what would actually help them is something that's shorter, not in a whole live container program. Maybe they can't handle a weekly meeting. Maybe they can't a monthly meeting. Maybe they need a faster result, which is going to be a smaller version of what you're thinking about. Format is going to follow the answer to what are they going to get out of it. It never is going to lead that. You don't decide the format first. You don't say, I want to build a cohort and then ask what the learning is going to be. You need to see what do you want people to get out of it? Because a cohort might not be the best model. Let's say you have your audience. You have a course. The content exists and it's good, obviously, because you're you. You're wondering if the next move is a cohort or a community, something different than what you're doing right now. The first thing I want you to hear is that you're not going to rebuild your content. That work is done. You've done that part already. You know that it's good. What you're deciding is what to put around that content. Some things to look at are if your students have the information, but they're not using it. If people are finishing or they're not finishing your self-paced course and tell you they understand it, but they don't really implement the information. It's not the content. That's accountability. They need someone to tell them what to do or how to do it. A cohort solves that problem. They need the accountability. They want somewhere to ask questions, and you can move them along in the process. If your audience is already asking for other people, if they're DMing you, asking whether anyone else is working through the same problems, or asking to be connected to other students, showing up in your comments, talking to each other instead of just you, that's a solid sign that they need other people. They want the community part of it. You didn't try to manufacture that part. It's already there. Now you can move that into a system that's part of your content. If you can commit to a start and end date, some people can't. And that's fine. That's part of deciding what is going to work for your content and you. This is what separates a cohort from a membership. Also, what we talked about in episode 137. A cohort is going to have a beginning and an end, and you usually run multiple cohorts. It is not an open-ended content treadmill. That's going to be more of a membership. If you can commit to running something like 4, 6, 8 weeks, 2 to 3 times a year, and that's sustainable for you, then you're ready for a cohort type model. If what you're actually picturing is an open community where you show up maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks or once a month, that's a membership wearing a cohort's name. It comes with the exact same content type treadmill. It can look so many different ways, which is exactly why I say I can't tell you what it's supposed to look like until I see what your content is and what your business looks like. You do not need a cohort if your buyers are telling you that their biggest obstacle is time and a schedule, not accountability, not connection, literally a calendar availability. They're not going to show up. Forcing them into a live session is going to solve a problem they don't have. It's going to create one for them that you don't need to deal with. Some audiences genuinely need self-paced. So don't chase the trend when your audience doesn't actually need it. Your buyer is going to tell you what they need. You're not going to please everyone. You have to do what's going to work for you and your audience. So you have to ask yourself, can you realistically run a cohort model? If you're dreading it, and you're like, I guess this is where the trend is going. I guess this is what I have to do now. That's not going to be your jam, and I wouldn't do it. So what does this all look like with your existing content? This is the fun part for me. The bones of your stuff is there with your content because you have it. You're going to keep your content and you're going to add structure around it. Your existing modules are likely going to become the backbone of the cohort. What you're adding is a start date, a pace. This week, everyone works through module 2 and points where people are going to show up live. You already know this. You just have to look at your stuff. Where do people get stuck? The live component doesn't need to be everything. The weekly call, a midpoint check-in, you don't have to do this every week. There might be certain points in your content where you know people need more help than others. And there's some points where people don't need any help. You have to look at it because you know your content the best. You don't need to be live every day to get the accountability effect that you're hoping for. You need consistent, predictable touch points, and people can plan around that. You can build in peer connection on purpose and not have it be accidental. If part of what's working about cohorts is the loneliness gap we talked about, don't leave that but to chance. A simple partner system, a shared channel, having a community aspect inside the whatever technology that you run your cohort in is a great way for people to see each other's progress. That's often doing more than what your live calls are doing. You can also price it like the different product it is. This is not the same offer with a Zoom link added onto it. There's structure, there's accountability, and a live group that have value. The price is going to reflect that, which is why it is so much more than a self-paced course. Now you're probably thinking about all this and you're like, where do I start? The best place to start is looking at where people are getting stuck in what you're currently doing. Not where you think they get stuck, but where are they telling you that they are? Look at your refund requests, look at support questions, look at where people are not finishing. That will tell you whether it's a content or a connection problem. Ask what you can commit to. You have to be really honest with yourself. Where can you commit to a start date and an end date? Not what sounds really impressive, like I'm going to run 5 cohorts this year. Is that sustainable? What can you actually sustain 2 to 3 times a year without it eating into your business and your sanity? If you want an outside look at what you've already built, what's ready to become a cohort, what should stay self-paced inside your business, that's what the Digital Product Infrastructure Audit is for. We look at what exists, not what's trending. We figure out what your specific audience and what your business needs and what makes the most sense for you. Cohorts aren't winning because self-paced content got worse. They're winning because a lot of people are really tired of doing things alone, and a live group finally answers that. We want the connection and collaboration that comes with cohorts and communities. Your content was never the problem, hopefully. The format is not the whole decision. The question you need to answer and what you should start with is what your audience needs and the results that you're promising. Once you answer that and you decide what you can handle, the format will become clear. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. If this episode hit home, your next step isn't to build anything. It's to audit what you already have. I offer a paid infrastructure audit where I review your current offers, delivery load, and where your business is relying too heavily on you. You'll get a clear decision doc and a Loom walkthrough outlining what actually makes sense next. The link is in the show notes.